Everybody, welcome to the first episode of Cactus Cooking. You can call me Hallie after this little guy. I am also, as you may know, I am also the GEO of Art with Doug, or the Golf Executive Officer. We have all sorts of cute little designs like these. So I am also a first-year grad student. I am a physicist, and I just love to cook. Cooking is how I relax, what I do every day. So to begin with, today I'm going to make something simple, such as a Dutch baby, which, well, you'll see what it is later. Anyway, I'm going to be making all kinds of things. I'm going to make bread, brownies. Like I said, I love to cook, I love to experiment, and I want to bring you all along on my journey. So, like I said, today we're going to be cooking a Dutch baby, and I've already turned my oven on. Something for those of you who are first time cooking out of your house, something you might want to get used to is how your oven works. Now, at home I had an electric oven, but I had like a digital readout of exactly the temperature. Here I don't, and this oven tends to run a little bit hot, so I've actually turned it down. It's currently set preheating to 425 degrees. You'll be able to find the entire recipe in the comments below. Oh yeah, and down here in the corner you will see my little symbol, my little Hallie, and just click on her and you will be able to go to the Art with Doug site, and you will be able to find all sorts of cute cooking equipment, which you'll see here today, such as my lovely Hallie pan holder. This will be very important. If you're just now getting your kitchen all set up, you will definitely want one of these, or at least a dish towel or something, because you do not want to handle the pan with your bare hands. You will get burned. That's a guarantee. Okay, so I guess let's get started. Now you'll also see with watching me, I use a lot of weird stuff, probably not how it was intended. Like, this is a old jam jar, but I'm a grad student. I didn't have enough money to buy stuff. I had a jam jar, I had jam, so I washed it out, and now I'm using it as an ingredient holder. So don't be afraid to get creative with stuff. We're in grad school, or undergrad, or first apartment. That's what life's for. So here I have half a cup of flour, and I'm going to put that in. And then followed by a tablespoon of sugar. So now something you might notice is I am putting in all of my dry ingredients first, which isn't necessary, but at the same time you will be very happy you did that later. I'll show you why, but otherwise the flour will clump more when you put the wet ingredients in. So now you'll also need a pinch of nutmeg. You don't have to put this in, it's more to taste, but I honestly couldn't taste it when I made it last, but it does add something, so I'm going to put it in. There we go, just a pinch. That was probably too much. Oh, I don't know if I mentioned this before, I put in 1 tablespoon of sugar. Okay, stir that in. There we go. So now comes the wet stuff. So one thing I would definitely recommend if you are just getting your kitchen together like I am, is definitely get wet, like liquid measuring cups, because those, especially glass, because those you can do so much in them. You can use them to cook. You can put most of them can go in the microwave. So you can like warm up water for coffee, which I do every morning. And get different sizes too, because you don't want to get a giant 4-cup, and then like this recipe only calls for half a cup. So you'd be with this gigantic piece of glassware trying to measure out half a cup. So don't do that to yourself. Get a few different sizes. We have half a cup of milk. And another thing is always set up to clean up. So like my dishwasher is currently empty, and that's where all of this stuff is going as soon as I use it, because I want it to be clean after. Nobody wants to spend a couple hours cleaning up after they finish cooking. Okay, so now we're going to add, like I said, that was half a cup of milk. Now we're going to add 3 eggs. Something else that you will want to look into is a wooden spoon. You saw I was using that to mix my dry ingredients earlier. Wooden spoons are great. You can use them on the stove. They don't heat up that much. I just went and I completely washed my hands. When dealing with eggs, you do not want to touch anything else after you touch the eggs. So touch the eggs, like you saw I put all 3 in at once. And then I went and washed my hands, that way I won't touch anything else. There's no chance of raw egg getting on anything other than my cooking things, which I'm going to be putting in the dishwasher anyway. So just a good rule of thumb for if you cook a lot. So now I'm going to mix these 3 together. I should say I'm going to mix my ingredients together. Okay, now as you may have noticed, I am using my wooden spoon to do this. I think it would actually be better if I used a whisk. So that's another cooking tool that you should definitely get. One of the first things you should get is also a whisk, because you can use them to make your eggs in the morning. You can they're really versatile and really helpful. So as you can see, though there is a little bit of clumping from the flour, you can see that it's a lot less, and it's almost like peeling off the sides of the bowl, right around here. And that is why you put the flour in first, is so that it does that and you don't end up with these giant clumps. Now, I made this recipe last week before I started filming, and I didn't do that. And I did end up with clumpy batter, so word to the wise, always put your dry ingredients in first, unless the recipe says otherwise, and then listen to the recipe. And I managed to make it clumpy anyway. I guess I can talk a little bit more about grad school life while I'm stirring this. Actually, before I do that, I am going to take my favorite pan. This is another thing you should definitely look into getting. Oh, I'm putting the pan into my oven so it's not freezing. The reason we're using the pan is so that way it'll be able to form the Dutch baby up into a nice round shape with the nice sides. You'll see. Anyway, you should definitely look into getting a good pan. That is a 10-inch frying pan, and they you can use them for pretty much anything. As you see, I put mine in the oven. But that's one thing that you'll want to actually invest in. You don't want to get the inexpensive version from your favorite department store. Look at getting an actually nice pan, because pans are something that you get them once and you can use them forever. They're really, really versatile, really, really useful. And I'd suggest, just from my experience, what little of it I have so far, I'd suggest getting a 10-inch, because I've noticed a lot of recipes call for 10-inch pans. Even making eggs is easier in a 10-inch pan. So that's just something you might want to think about. Also, when you're looking at schools or where to live, always look at where the nearest grocery store is, because thankfully there's a bus that takes me to my nearest grocery store, and that has really saved me. I've been able to go buy all my ingredients. I can buy it fresh. I don't have to worry about stuff being bad or going bad on me, because I am able to go there once a week, get all my groceries, come back. And you'll want to keep the staples like flour, plain sugar. I have a couple of spices, but that's just because I cook a lot, and if you follow along with me, you might want to get them too. Oh, and vanilla extract. And now, vanilla extract might be a little bit expensive, but it is used in a lot of recipes and definitely worth getting just to have it, just to use it to cook. It's used to enhance the flavor of many recipes. So even though you can't taste vanilla, or you don't want to taste vanilla in whatever you're doing, put it in anyway. It's kind of like salt. It's used as an additive, or not additive, as a flavor enhancer. Another note about changing ovens and like not knowing how each one works. Some ovens, like this one without the temperature gauge, it has a light that says when the oven is on and when it's off. And the only way you can tell when it reaches temperature is when the oven turns off. So that's something you might want to keep an eye out. I was expecting it to ding and it didn't, so it took me a while to figure out my oven was ready the first time. Anyway, to continue, I am now going to pull out I'm going to use my lovely Hallie so I don't burn my hand. I'm going to pull out my pan, which I placed in the oven because that's what the recipe calls for. So I'm going to pull it out and I'm going to put butter in it. Okay. So here's my nice warm pan, because it makes any difference. The butter I'm using is fancy pasteurized butter. I like it better for butter and stuff. It's from grass-fed cows. So if you're not picky about butter, that's really not a big deal. Anyway, so you can use whatever butter. Okay, I just touched my pan. I am a great example of don't. Just quick physics principle, just because I can't help myself and I'm a physicist. Part of the reason that I did not get severely burned just then is my hands were wet because I just washed them, and that created a layer of steam in between my hand and the pan. So I actually didn't get any of the heat. I was able to register that it was way too hot before I left my hand and was severely burned. So, like I said, do as I say, don't do as I do. So right now what I'm doing is I'm just melting the butter. What the butter will do is it'll help the Dutch baby not to stick to the pan, but it'll actually rise, and eventually some of the butter will find its way inside the Dutch baby, and it is really, really good. It also helps guide it and keep it in the center of the pan so it'll spread evenly. Anyway, see, no markings. Well, maybe a little bit, but fewer. Okay, and I'm not leaving the buttered pan in the oven for too long. I am just letting it warm up some more, taking it out, and just basically mixing it just to get the butter to melt faster. The main idea behind this is I don't want the butter burning. I'm not actually trying to cook the butter here. I'm just trying to cover the pan with the butter and create that nice layer of butter that will then pour the batter into that butter, and that'll make the Dutch baby. Okay, I'm waiting for another minute. Something else you'll probably learn if you cook with me a lot is I am extremely impatient. So I will say I'm gonna wait, and then I'm not going to wait, and I'm gonna continue checking whatever it is until it's ready, because I am an impatient grad student. There we go. So as you can see, the butter is nearly gone. There we go, now it's all gone. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to hold both these at the same time. I'm just pouring the Dutch baby into the center of the pan. There we go. Sorry, I have to move it off camera a little bit. Ooh, there we go. Something else you might want to look into is getting a spatula. That was another thing I bought, one of the first things I bought. And it's just because it's nice to scrape out the bowl so you get all the ingredients in the pan, not just what didn't stick. Because as you'll find with a lot of things, especially the brownies that I'm going to teach you how to make later, most of the brownie batter will actually stick to the bowl and not go in the pan. And then that's kind of useless because you're trying to cook brownies, and if you don't get any brownies in the pan, then you can't have brownies, and there are eggs in them, so you can't even eat the brownie batter. Anyway, there we go. And into the oven. And so now this will cook for about 20 minutes. I'm going to set my timer here, if I can find it. And I will check back with you then, and we'll take out the Dutch baby. I will put up pictures of this thing as it rises because, well, let's be honest, it's cool watching stuff rise and watching things cook. It's chemistry. It's part of physics, actually. So, okay, so here we are. The Dutch baby has been in the oven for approximately 10 minutes. As you can see, it is starting to rise. And you can see part of the butter that has in fact pooled in the middle. I apologize for my handling of the camera. So this is actually rising really rapidly. I checked it about maybe a minute and a half ago, and it was not this tall. So it'll keep rising like that until it is ready to come out of the oven. Okay, so we have about 10 seconds to go before we take the Dutch baby out of the oven. It looks great coming up. It looks a little bit different from the last one that I made, which I will include pictures of. But hey, if it tastes good, what's it matter? There's my timer. Let's see what it looks like. Okay, I'm using the oven mitt because this will be even hotter this time. Okay, here we go. So I'm not quite sure what created this lovely creation, but hey, it'll still taste good. That's the best part about cooking. Even if it doesn't look pretty, most of the time, unless you completely did something wrong, it'll still taste good, which that's all that really matters. So as you can see, I took it out and it instantly started to fall some. So it's not finished. Oops. It's not finished cooking quite, or it's not at its final look yet, which it will be soon. Yeah, but it looks good. So something that you'll want to do, oh yeah, never forget to turn your oven off. When you take something out, first thing you do, shut off your oven. Something that you want to do while this is still hot is put it on your stovetop. Your stovetop is designed to take that kind of heat. You don't want to put that on plastic. That would be really bad because, well, that would melt the plastic, deform the counter, and it would probably not do too much for your really good pan either. So, yeah, there we go. There's the Dutch baby. I will take any pictures of it if it changes too much. And yeah, so thanks for joining me for the first episode of Cactus Cooking with Hallie. I look forward to seeing you next time. I'll probably be making bread next, so look forward to that. Anyway, see you next time.